Hello.
I hope you speak.
Hey guys, how you doing? I saw some heads come up for a second, so let's start this. We're a tiny little bit late, so let's get going. Thank you guys for being here. We're on the Emergence of the Gaming Influencer panel. Why am I bending down when I could do this?
Woo!
How you guys doing? It's a relatively new thing. So just so we can kind of judge who we're talking to and kind of curtail our answers. Who's in the panel? Who's a personal gaming person, esports personality, streamer? You want to raise your hand? Personal people? Don't be afraid.
Oh, personal, yeah.
Personal
I see this
people.
gentleman's afraid. And who's here on behalf of a business? Who's a like marketing representative? And there's people I'm missing in between. All right, we're just going to go for it then. We're just going to go for it. So I always do a bad job of this. I feel like I did this panel last year, and I feel like I do a bad job of introducing anybody. I always miss stuff. So we're just going to go down the line. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Sure. Hi, my name is Mari Takahashi. I've been in the digital and gaming space for about 9 years now, going on 10. I co-founded a YouTube gaming channel called Smosh Games about 7 years ago. I can do math, which is a sister channel to Smosh and Smosh Pit as well. And I manage my own social media channel, Atomic Mari.
I'm Brian Foster, Director of Creators at Mob Crush. We're a live streaming tool set for anybody that's looking to stream and distribute their content. I've come through, again, about 8 years as well in the industry, from full screen to Nerdist, and now at Mob Crush. I'm a big gamer, and I love working with gamers.
Hi, I'm Rod Kim, half of RKVC. We're actually a music YouTube channel, but we host gaming shows on other channels, like Mob Crush.
And I'm Vince, and what he said.
How many times in panels do you do that? You just sit at the end and go, what he said?
They get called up at the last second. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's tradition.
That's pretty good. My name's Chris Saint. I used to be on reality TV, and now what I do is I stream games 5-6 days a week for 5 or 6 hours a day, as you guys well know. You got to get those hours in. So let's go for it. The panel is called the Emergence of the Gaming Influencer. It's a relatively new thing. We never used to have those celebrities back in the day. You used to go to Twitch and you'd be like, cool. Like who's on there? Let's click on somebody. Now we look for those individuals. Like we want they have that celebrity status, as you guys well know. Who was the first person that you ever looked at that you're like, that's like when you saw that happen? Like I know like some of the big names in the industry is like Tfue, Ninja. You look at those people and you're like, cool. That's a lot of people's entry points. But who was the first person? I remember. For me, I watched like a Jacksepticeye video on Goat Simulator, and I was like, that's the dude, like, you can be funny and popular about this, you know what I mean? So, like, who was the first person that you ever found? You're like, that's it?
For us, it was PewDiePie, way back in the day, and that was around 2000, I guess, 11, 12-ish? And then we launched Smosh Games in 2012. Following straight after. We're like, we could do this, but instead of one person being funny, we have to make up for it by being 6 people and being funny to make up for the one PewDiePie that is funny.
Yeah, you're like, as a team, we could do this better. We can get this done.
I don't know about better, but we could maybe be up to his funny level.
Gotcha.
One of the channels that I used to watch, this is probably kind of a deep cut, was Christopher Walking Through. And it was basically he would play video games walking through them, but he would do a Christopher Walken impression as he was doing it. I always thought he was hilarious, and I thought that was the nexus of comedy and gaming.
That's beautiful,
Yeah,
actually.
it was great.
Yeah, what about you guys?
You know what's funny? When you originally asked the question, I was going to be like, oh, I don't know about gaming YouTubers. Then I realized the first YouTuber I ever discovered and watched religiously was the Angry Video Game Nerd, who arguably kind of started things for that. But I don't know, there was something about it. He was like, it's kind of like a sitcom, a one-man sitcom. That's how you would imagine a one-man sitcom would be produced. So I don't know, I love his stuff.
For me, it was Markiplier, and originally I was using it for more of a walkthrough utilitarian type of deal. But then I realized how funny the guy was, and how I wasn't even paying attention to the game anymore. I was paying attention to him, and I saw how beneficial it was for both things. Both learning the walkthrough, but also like feeling good about it at the end. It wasn't boring. It was awesome.
Yeah. And how many of these, when we talk about these names, how many of you are recognizing the people we're talking about? Cool. Okay, so we're there. I mean, if you're from a company where you're like, you know what, this is going completely over my head, just start watching the tournaments, log onto websites like Mob Crush, and look at the top ranked people. Obviously, those are usually the people that are the influencers, the people that are at the top of their game. So that's that. And then slowly coming in, because we gotta start slow, and then we'll ramp up to some craziness. All right? Okay. So if we start slow, because this is actually on the description of the panel. Do you guys want to go? I know we're doing this again, but if we just go through one by one, just give me your top do's and don'ts for streaming, keeping that follower base, keeping them engaged, and keeping them there so they don't go, cool, who's this Markiplier guy? I'm gonna go watch him instead. So just give us your do's and don'ts.
That's a great question. I mean, I think my first do, I would say, is remember that you're a brand, no matter at whatever stage you're in, whether it's 15 people watching or 300. I think just remembering that you can tailor yourself to how a brand would treat it. And it's like, if you're a brand that swears, if you are, a little bit more edgy and that's it, then stick to it and hold to your guns. That's great. If you're gonna look for more, like brand friendly, even family friendly, although that line is being, it's a touchy line right now because of YouTube's new standards. I think understanding who you want your audience to be is really important, and continuing that on. Just be professional.
Yeah, I agree. Stick with your guns, be yourself, but do understand that there are people watching, and people are also watching your chat. So do moderate your chat, do moderate the people that are coming in, because you don't want to spoil the crowd, or however you want to look at it, because that could really mean the difference between a troll being part of your chat room and someone else that might be a little bit more beneficial and a better someone from your audience. So make sure you're taking a look at not only the content that you're making, but also who's there and viewing it.
I think so Vince and I are kind of new to the gaming on social media thing, especially since we don't actually host the gaming on our channels. We're usually on Mob Crush or other channels. The biggest thing I've learned over the last year and a half is to love what you love, in addition to being a brand and everything, because we were hosting, I'm trying not to throw shade on somebody else, I'm not going to mention their specifics, but they prevented us from playing things that we both loved because it wasn't going to be popular, it wasn't algorithmic. They had all these reasons why we couldn't play. Like me specifically, I wanted to play Mortal Kombat. And they were like, nope, not family friendly, people aren't going to like this, you're the only one that cares about Mortal Kombat. And I was like, I don't feel like that. But I fear if I love it, there's somebody out there who loves it. And so on the flip side, Mob Crush was like, hell yeah, let's do Mortal Kombat. And it's like been it's not viral or anything, but it's been like the biggest thing, I think, for both our platforms, right? That game and stuff, because we love it, and I think it shows on the stream, because when you're playing something for 8 hours, there's only so much you can fake being on, but when we did the first Mortal Kombat launch stream,
10 hours,
everybody was like in it, we're like, yeah, rip his head off, and
it truly is the
real
energy.
nice.
Piggybacking off of what you guys all had said, something maybe on a different note, is the vocabulary that you're using, especially like the do's and don'ts and driving, not driving traffic, but just like keeping people engaged, is trying not to say things that to the audience may seem like you're ending your stream. Like saying like thank you in the middle of your stream may cause some people to be like, oh, it's over, and they jump out.
It's interesting.
I don't know if that's necessarily a do's and don'ts, but it was the first thing that came to my mind.
I think it goes back to you control your audience. You have full control of who watches you and what sort of conversations go on in your chat by being conscious of what you say, how you say it, the positive reinforcement you give to people who are yeah, I want to see more of that in chat, so I'm gonna recognize that versus maybe trolls or negative comments. And I think it's important to remember that you really do harbor the things that you highlight. Mm-hmm. So the way that any company, whoever's the head honcho trickles down, that sort of company culture trickles down to all the employees. It's the same way. It's you as a streamer are controlling that show. So remember that you do, and remember that whatever you highlight, your voice really matters. Because it's really easy to get bogged down by those negative comments. So highlight those positive ones.
And something else too, especially since so the reason we host on other channels is because we love video games because we're kids of the 90s, you know. Mortal Kombat I love, he loves the new Zelda games and stuff. We are not good with the technical side of streaming whatsoever. So Sam Proof down here produces the show on Mob Crush. He runs like a bunch of different cameras and stuff and moderates the chat and everything, so all we have to concentrate is playing the video game. Because we're musicians who already had to figure out how to do YouTube, and so that was already like a stretch. And so to figure out how to like run OBS and like do plugins and then all this stuff, it was crazy. It's not impossible, but it allowed us to like enjoy the experience, and then hopefully the audience also enjoyed the experience with us.
I think you brought up another point though, is that this is not easy to do, and people think of it as just, oh, it's another gamer on Twitch, oh, they're just playing video games. These people have become studio executives that are not only making the content, creating and developing the content, but also shooting it, editing it, and they're the main actor in it. So like, there's a lot going on from not just the technical aspect, but also the personality and things like that. So you need to really know how to run a business from all angles if you want to do this successfully. And that's why a lot of these guys, they tend to come with a higher price tag, because these guys are putting in the time and the effort and their own money in order to make this content produced, at a high level.
Like the hardware alone to do live streaming, such like a high level of entry, like in my perspective.
There is.
Because when we first started,
it's getting better, but it's still, you're right.
When we were just doing like our YouTube videos for our channel, we could literally do it on our phone in like a basic editing program, but streaming, like we're finding like we have severe limitations. We have pretty decent equipment. So we have to go to Mob Crush's office and they have like a studio. And
but at the same time, don't let that, if you're new to live streaming, also don't let that scare you, because you don't need a CS degree or an engineering degree to set up something like that. If you just download, there's OBS and there's things like Streamlabs OBS, which is a lot more streamlined for you. It's going to do a lot of the work for you. Also tools like Mob Crush, Streamlabs, things like those will take a lot of the effort off. You don't have to write code, you don't have to do anything. A lot of it's just drag and drop. So if you're sitting there just going, what the hell are they talking about? What am I doing? Just take a step back and realize there are different levels of this. You can sit there with a PlayStation and an Xbox, plug in a camera, and that software will allow you to go. Like you can do that. If you want to stream on Mixer, pick up an Xbox and you can start there. You know what I mean? Don't be scared.
And we release weekly articles, op-eds, things like that about the streaming world and about how to best stream your games and your content. So if you ever need to look that up or anything, mobcrush.com, and our Medium page, which Sam can probably help me out with, but he's looking at me like I'm as confused as he is. So like, there's resources out there, and we're trying to provide as much info to new streamers as possible.
All right. Well, that actually leads back into the next question I was going to ask. Mob Crush, there are services like Mob Crush which do this thing called multi-streaming, which is it takes your one output, your one where you normally would just stream on things like Twitch, and it splits it into multiple outputs. So the same thing with the same up bandwidth is going out on Twitch, Mixer, Mob Crush, Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming, all that kind of stuff. We've been sat here for the last 2 years on these panels predicting a multi-streaming future where people would have non-exclusive contracts and they could do whatever they want. And it seems over the last 6 months that in some part we may have been very wrong, because all the major streamers have started to take exclusive contracts. We've had people like Ninja and Shroud, and today Ewoks move from Twitch to Mixer. We've had Courage move to YouTube Gaming, which we sat here a year ago and we were like, YouTube just released a thing saying YouTube Gaming is dead. And now they're back and they're signing exclusive creators. Sorry, I was ranting. What was my question? Here we go. Do we think that's the way forward? Do we think what we're doing now is getting to a level where we're going to be signed by an exclusive network? Or do we still believe in that multi-streaming mentality? Like, what do we think is going to happen?
At Mob Crush, we still believe in the multi-streaming.
I know.
However, I think that multi-streaming can be used not only to just distribute your content and syndicate it, but it's also to find the platform that's right for you. Whichever one starts picking up. If you've got them all running at once and Twitch is running better for you, go to Twitch. However, I would recommend not getting into any exclusive contracts that are for perpetuity, but that's just
Yeah.
because that's best for you as a creator.
A lot of the times, the first offer from a network, what will come through is the exclusive contract. And if you ask them to move non-exclusive, they'll slide you a piece of paper that they don't slide as many people. You know what I mean? But sorry, I didn't mean to.
I've never gotten that piece of paper.
That's actually exactly what I was going to say, is especially because even though we don't stream gaming on our channel, we do a weekly catch-up with our subscriber base. And the only way we were able to do, this is not a sales pitch, but it was Mob Crush, because 2 years ago they gave us the beta. Yeah, 2 years ago they showed us the app, and it was so easy for us to use. We accidentally live streamed in the middle of having lunch out here. And so we've used it every week since to do our catch-up live streams. And then for the reasons you said, YouTube's still our main, but if one of these weeks we realize like a Mixer is just like taking off, then like we know like where to kind of like focus our energy at the base level. You know, if we were more established, it might not be that case.
That's more of my point, and kind of what Brian had touched on is it really depends on your level. If you're a beginner, multi-streaming on MobCam, which is the tool that they're talking about at Mob Crush, is a great place to start. Because you're on all platforms at once, and you can test to see which one is going to be more beneficial to you in the long run. And then from there, you can make the decision whether you want to go towards Mixer or YouTube. I don't know, I think that'd be a good route for beginners.
Yeah. When Mixer was introduced, we had no idea what it was. Actually, Mob Crush was the one, Sam was like, you should sign up for Mixer because our app does it now, and you might as well. It's literally like one 10-minute sign-up period, and then you never have to think about it again. And then we looked into it, and we started finding more like kind of random drop-ins for various algorithmic reasons and stuff. We actually tried to tell some friends about it, and they're like, that's not going to go anywhere. And we were like, even if it doesn't, it's Microsoft money. And that's not a bad thing.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, and it's still been, good. Like the sum of the parts has done well for us,
Yeah, I think multi-streaming is really great, especially if you're beginning and figuring out where you want your audience. Once you go exclusive, you are pretty much set on developing your audience and catering to that audience on that platform. But if you're able to multi-stream, you'll see that there's different communities depending on the platforms. And I think that's a important thing to remember. A Facebook gaming audience is going to be different from a Twitch audience, different from a Mixer audience, different from a Caffeine audience. And so when you're starting out, it's like, I think that's a really good way for you to choose what do you want the overall mood of your audience to be? What do you want people to talk about? What do you want your community to be? And I think that's it's a good place to start. But as far as the contracts being really public about when people become exclusive, I think it's a reflection of where gaming is going. These are very coveted streamers getting giant contracts, and it's being made public. And I think it's being made public because people talk about it. There's a buzz around it. It's headline news, and people talk, and then the media sees that. There's been exclusive contracts with YouTube for years. Smosh has been on an exclusive contract in the past with YouTube, and also with and Facebook Gaming as well in the past, but it's not things that would make headline news. But right now, I think the contracts are just so big, they're so massive, they're so mysterious still, like why a gamer would get these contracts. So I think that's why you're seeing more and more of those, and I don't think it's going to stop.
Cool. I do think that both, whether it's a contract or not, is the future of gaming. I know it's like a weird copped out answer to say, but I think they're both still going to be super relevant in the future. It's kind of answer your question.
Cool. All right, so one of the other big things we got today is monetizing your content. We've talked in the past about when is it the right time to monetize your streaming content, your pre-recorded content, all that kind of stuff. I know Smosh, I saw Smosh, it's like, Smosh has clothes now. It's like Smosh clothing, all that kind of stuff. What's the most important to you guys? Is there when you first started, was there an unexpected revenue stream that came in where you were like, holy crap, I didn't expect to make money this way? Or was it just the normal things? You're like, cool, I'm accepting bits, I'm accepting stars, I'm accepting subscriptions, I'm doing merch now. Was it that, or was there something unexpected that came through?
I think the most unexpected thing was 8 years ago getting my first sponsorship for I think it was on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe it was 8 years ago. I don't know how long ago. Maybe it was 7 or 8 years ago. But I think that was the most interesting thing, and it was for DiGiorno Pizza. And I was blown away. And I took whatever the first amount of money they said was. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I don't know what this is. And, you know, it's this many years down the road, like, I'm still stoked on it because I'm literally a nobody who got to become somebody on a free platform where literally anyone can be a somebody on it. And I get to work with giant companies that I grew up with and companies I never thought that I'd even have email interactions with. And so I think that was the first moment where I said, this is weird and it's dope. Huh.
Are you still working with DiGiorno?
No, they haven't called me back. Just kidding.
I think you can start monetizing at any time. I mean, I think, you know, the day you start, there are enough programs out there, whether it be affiliate deals that, you know, you can just sign up for to share links. You can do your own merch through different sites that are available to you. Tiny sponsors are a reason for that, or a version of that.
Yeah.
I think you guys are having success with that.
Yeah, Tiny Sponsor was probably the biggest surprise because I know when we're still pretty small channel, but when we hit our first 1,000 subscribers, I think Tiny Sponsor, Mike had approached us about doing some sponsorships, and immediately we were like, well, what kind of reach do we have that anybody would care about? And then he responded with the sponsorship from Sundance Film Festival, and that's when we kind of learned like this was a perfect fit because their specific integration was highlighting struggling artists in LA, which was us, our brand, 1,000%, you know. And then it just kind of that whole experience kind of taught us that there was an audience and it could be scaled financially to our reach. And even though we're smaller, we've purposely grown slower to grow a more loyal audience. Like the subscribers that were with us 3 years ago are still with us every week in the live stream, you know, and we haven't lost them. Even this year, we told everybody we're gonna post like a lot less, maybe twice the entire year on YouTube, but we're going to take time to work on our music and better videos for you, and everybody was cool with it. And the compromise was we live stream every week to let you know we're alive and we can hang out. And
That's
stuff,
the difference between a subscriber and a fan.
Yeah.
It also helps that there's stories on both YouTube, and we have Patreon has stories now as well, and Instagram obviously stories. So it's even though the videos are less now, we're still engaging with them every single day, you know.
So those sponsorships, like Tiny Sponsor to this day, like we're in the middle of 2 integrations with them right now, and I'm still surprised by it. I was like, oh, we can actually make a little bit of money off of this, you know?
It's great.
I was surprised at just how many different ways people find value in what we do, you know, in streaming and whatnot. If you're like an independent game company sending us a game to play, you know, like there's so many different ways that people find value in the streaming. That's what the biggest surprise to monetization for me was, like how many different ways. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think from a longevity point of view, diversifying is really important. I'm sure everyone's heard of the YouTube like adpocalypse and things like that, and if your main focus is just on AdSense and just on clicks, it can be really, really up and down. You're always chasing just the numbers. And so diversifying in a way that is, you're able to rely on different ways is so important. Something that's been working for Smosh lately is creating merchandise that's a little bit more like what do you call it, like an inside joke. So if somebody were to see it, they're like, okay, I don't understand that, but it looks like a cool design. But people who are like in on the joke are like fervent on it. They're like so interested in what that joke is. So I think if you've grown your audience of 100 people and 95 of them get that one joke, you know, it's the one catchphrase you say and no one else gets it but them. I think flash sales are always a really good way. Having, you know, like 50 limited pieces, that's it, and they're gone forever. I think that's a really good way to get in on merch stuff so that you're not looking at a bunch of unsold merchandise and you're having to stock that in your place.
Has anyone actually found some good merch alerts for overlays and things like that, browser source, or?
We use CrowdMade, which actually sometime today will be launching for the first time our first merch.
Okay.
But they do almost exclusively the limited runs because they have I forget what the word is, and Kevin, forgive me. It's something like transient warehouse or something. It's a small warehouse that only carries like one set of inventory at a time instead of like a gigantic Jeffree Star warehouse, with like hundreds and thousands of square feet and stuff. So like even our merch, I think, is going to be like a set amount of time you have to order now, and then they'll order it and then ship it out to everybody, and then never again, or maybe in a year or something.
Got you. Yeah, because at the moment our only option is like Streamlabs merch, and they take like half or 60% or something crazy like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
60%.
They take a crazy amount of percentage. He's nodding his head. He's like, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, all we're really begging for is somebody to do some WooCommerce, Shopify integration and just push it through. But I'm getting into my own thing. We were talking about monetizing stuff. I just wanted to ask Brian, I know Mob Crush you've been doing this ad content for a while that works with gamers, where it basically comes up on the side of the screen, and then you go, do you want to push this ad right now? And you go, yes, and then it comes on the screen and you earn money straight from it. Do you want to talk us through that?
Well, I think that's more our Go Live Get Paid system. So what we do is offer an opportunity for creators to opt into different branded campaigns that are available to them at any one time, depending on the creator, the content they're creating, and their reach. So if they opt into these in the middle of their stream, they are prompted when the ad placement is going to happen or the ad read is going to happen, and a cue card comes up on their screen that only they can see during their stream, and they do the ad read. That ad read also includes served graphics in terms of a lower third, as well as persistent graphics in terms of like a bug or any sort of logo placement, as well as any video that we can serve through that same system. So it's very low touch on the creator's process or anything like that, which we're trying not to interrupt what they do. They create content, that's what they should do. So this kind of allows them to say, hey, I'm being sponsored by our friends at DiGiorno. Be ready during my stream. You'll see a few different pop-ups during there, but please, leave a chat message, leave a link or anything like that, and make sure you support DiGiorno. So things like that. But we also have another system called Action Replays. So we've created a machine learning system that allows for creators to play set specific games. It started with Fortnite, Rocket League, Call of Duty. We've got a bunch of games now that are available. League of Legends is on there as well. So while a creator is playing that game, the machine will pick up when they have gotten a kill, a win, a loss, a defeat, things like that, and the machine will literally rewind that, create a video piece from that, and add it to a gallery that the creator can then share across social, as well as make a montage video of it. Now we've integrated also an ad product into that. So while the creator is playing, one of those videos can pop up as a picture-in-picture on screen once that kill happened or that win, and then an advertisement can be loaded in front of that video. The replay will play, and then another ad will close out that video. So they would get paid for each one of those that comes up. And we had a pretty successful launch of that with a movie recently, so we're happy to see where that's going.
That's the Gemini Man.
Gemini Man, yeah.
It looks like magic.
It does look like magic.
From the creator's standpoint, like we entered a few things in at the beginning, and then we did an early test with you guys on this for a charity, and like we're like reading off the cue card, and then on the playback, it's like graphics appeared around. It was the most highly produced part of our live stream. Was that ad?
And it's for any
automatically.
level too, both programs.
Yeah, yes, anybody can use it, but of course the campaigns aren't going to be available to everyone at every time or at all times. But yes, anyone that uses Mob Crush technology can get
Jump
those
into
overlays.
it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Action Replays.
There we go. Yeah, actually, you guys start thinking of some questions because we're going to ask these guys a couple more things, and then we're going to take questions from you guys, okay? Because you all seem very excited about questions. All right. Oh, there we go.
I would assume that that's a possibility. I think that the technology extends beyond games because what it does is we're teaching the machine to see certain prompts on screen. That's when it triggers the event. So if there was something that we could, a score change on a scoreboard, or I'm not sure what else would be for a live event, but I mean, it could work, yeah, it's in theory, but right now it's specifically for games.
This probably may be like such a basic question. I have a nephew, he wants to get into gaming. He's watching this now, thanks to Chris and you all. And so he says he knows a lot of this stuff.
Great.
But how do I help connect him up? I'm a filmmaker and I'm writing for Entertainment Today and Time Warner.
Just do an article on him.
You're at the right place.
Yeah, I mean, you mean for like online resources, or?
Like to just get into it,
Yeah, I mean, I would just check out anything online to see like how a streaming starter kit. Usually it's a green screen behind, the computer's necessary, the camera, multiple cameras if you really want to make switches and do changes, things like that. But you can start as basic as you want, I would assume. Actually, the guy sitting right next to you can get you all set up.
And also, like, I've recently learned, even though we don't do it ourselves, thanks to these guys, certain games really want that buzz. Like Mortal Kombat actually has an entire promo packet that you can download to put in your stream, and it'll just add all this nice graphics and stuff that's Mortal Kombat themed and stuff. So if I was a teenager, I feel like I would know enough about it to kind of find it. Because that's the thing, he actually probably knows more about how to get into it than you do. He might have already started.
You say, well, I know this already, Aunt Jackie. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
what can I do? How did you make the name for yourself? How did you jump over the fence to be?
That's a Mari.
That's
a Mari
That'd be
question.
a question for you.
I mean, I started early, but it's also, you just gotta start. And I think it's hard for people to start now because they have a expectation of what it should look like or what it has to look like in order for you to be successful. And it's a total fraud. You don't need to be that level when you start. It's a matter of starting it and grinding and grinding and grinding. And that's the hardest part because you see all these superstars who have risen and who have so much success, and I can understand a young person wants to be that immediately, but you take somebody like a Ninja. He's been doing this for years before anyone even really knew his name. He's a household name now, but there were years that he had a dedicated audience and he was just doing the same thing. He just didn't find that right game that really hit it off yet. But I think it comes down to you just got to start and you got to keep doing it.
And get on Masked Singer.
And get on Masked
Yeah.
Singer.
I forgot he was on that.
Yeah, I think it's hard because you have this expectation of well, I only have 15 views. And it's that years ago was awesome. That was 15 views, no way. But nowadays, I think people expect well, if it's not 1,000, then this isn't viable. This isn't good. It has to start from somewhere, and it's important to keep yourself motivated because if you're only chasing fame and success via numbers, it's not going to last. You just have to do it because it's the only thing you can do to go throughout your day, And it's after all these years, I still love it. I still play games for work, and then I go home and I sit and play games with my husband for hours. It's my outlet, and I love it, and that's why I've been in it for this long.
Actually, I'm gonna pimp out some of Mari's stuff. If you haven't checked it out, she did a podcast with Matthew Santoro. You should check it out because she has an incredible story on there about how this all started. It was just starting.
Yeah, my one-man show.
Yeah, and just how you said you can listen to it on the podcast, but there was a moment of should I go back?
Yeah.
And it was the divergence in the road. What if I didn't go back?
Yeah, I was a professional ballerina before all this, and it kind of merged at the same time. I started making YouTube content at the same time that I was still working full-time as a ballet dancer. And there were a lot of questions of why I'm putting time into this and why I'm not sleeping at night, doing a full-time career, and then staying up all night to make videos and editing at 4 a.m. to go to work at 6 a.m. the next morning.
That's the work.
But
That's the work.
And that's the part that you don't see. All the creators that you see who are working hard and doing stuff, you don't see the work that goes into it because that's the boring part. That's sitting at your computer with your eyeballs all red at night,
But also keep doing it, even if you're getting those 15 views. and I'm not trying to say anything bad, you guys don't get millions of views.
Not at all.
However, now you guys have, can I tell about the YouTube music?
Oh, yeah.
You tell about the YouTube music.
A couple months ago, we released YouTube hired us to write music for the audio library. And they found us, even though we're not the biggest channel. The YouTube reached out to us to do it, and then coming soon, we're releasing another round of music on there.
Good content,
Thank you.
Yeah. The point is that we don't do it for the views. We do it because we love it, and because we love it, our audience loves us.
Well, when you're first starting out, which was like one of the questions you asked, to me the first thing is consistency. If you just log in for 1 hour on a Tuesday and then randomly 2 weeks later log in 1 hour on a Thursday night, your viewers aren't going to know when you're on. They're not going to be engaged with you. They're not going to have any confidence that you're going to come back. So if it's a company starting or an individual, my advice would be sit down, work out what you can do at the same time every single week, make that schedule. And then stick to that schedule, and do not deviate from that schedule.
It's also good that you're supporting it too, because I heard this story about the recent Fortnite tournament, where like one of the winners won like over $1 million, but his mother had always like supported him playing video games, so he bought his mom a house. Because like I know we showed up at I think Zach, what was it, League of Legends that we went to? Okay, we went to a League of Legends tournament, not even the biggest one, just one of the bigger ones here, and I forget how many millions of dollars were on that stage at this esports thing, and it was a weekly event, so it wasn't even a special one, it just like happened that week. And I took a picture of the stage, sent the dollar amount to my brother, and was like, remember when Mom told us in '93 that playing video games would never make us money?
All right, guys, so we got time for a couple more questions. We got like 5 minutes, so does anybody have any questions that need answering that you want to direct to one of our panelists? It's machine learning, right? It's completely automated.
Yes. So Mob Crush is the video player, the streaming tool set. The action replays is technology within that. But our main AI that's reading that is called Action Replay Engine. Sorry.
Yeah. It's probably
he's my go-to for any like fill-in.
It's probably not as simple as this. It's a crazy like machine learning. Somebody sat there and like ruined their life to make that pretty much. But on say a game like Fortnite, when you kill somebody, it will say the name of the person you've killed in the same spot in red. And that machine learning algorithm goes, cool, whenever we see a red name in that spot, that's when we start that clip and we take it.
So that's served through our servers, and that's through cloud mixing or through a straight integration into the stream, which we control. Sorry.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like having a team of like a switcher, like for like a live programming, like people who can like switch from like camera 1 to camera 2 to camera 3. It's like having that entire team through Mob Crush.
Yeah, the whole goal was to eliminate any need for having to collect all those clips. Because a lot of times streamers will stream, they'll set up the VOD, and that's about it. They won't do anything in terms of cut downs. Some of them do, don't get me wrong, but this allows anybody to just go in, grab 10 clips or whatever of their kills, put those up online, and then put those as, publish those as a VOD. You have more opportunity to monetize, you have more opportunity to syndicate, you have more opportunity for new eyeballs to see your content and to drive people to your next stream, and then the process continues.
Man, I hate that when I'm playing and I'm like, did you see that? And I'm like, somebody clipped that. And I'm like, really? No one's going to clip that? And then I'm like, cool, now I've got to put down my...
That'd be a good name for it, actually.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Did you see that? My character's like auto-running as I'm trying to get this 15-second clip. But sorry, go ahead.
I started out as an actress and I'm a filmmaker, and so you know how there's like a certain essence or there's something about you or your platform. Is it the same thing in the gaming world? Like people come to see Mara or Brian or both of you because they're looking for a certain genre or personality?
I think it's all personality.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Some of the gamers are more comedy-based, some are more serious, some are hardcore competitive, some are like, how many wheels of cheese can I get up to this mountain and throw off, right? Sorry. But
Yeah, I think it comes down to like micro communities, aka also micro influencers, right? Like there are certain people who go to a certain influencer or streamer because they have that specific tone. It's very different from someone else. Like we all have very different voices, And that's exactly what audience members are looking for. They're like, oh, I like this person because it reminds me of blah, blah, blah. I like that they're more subdued versus this other person who's like a wild banshee for an hour and a half. And some people want that.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
great. You have so many options. It's kind of like having like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and all those things. Like you can find your thing, and there's all these different creators who
Millions of
provide
options.
that. Yeah.
Literally.
That's it's interesting to add on to that point. You know, when I was talking about the previous live stream that wouldn't allow us to play like Mortal Kombat and Zelda and all that stuff, they would also say like, guys, you gotta like amp it up. Like you gotta be more on. I'm like, that is so not like my vibe, you know? Like unless there's a specific thing. Like if I get a cool kill in Mortal Kombat, you'll see like all the bells and whistles going. But like on Mob Crush, we've been able to like host the show like as people, you know, like as the people we are for the most part. We are a little bit more on, you know, because it's being streamed and stuff, but it's more genuine to us, and like I'm more comfortable with the people that are viewing because I don't feel as much pressure to be on for like 8 hours of a person I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
I think when you're starting out, it's important to find like your motivation and be like, oh, I want to be like this person, and maybe have their cadence and that sort of vibe throughout the stream. But if it's not true to you, then you're going to be acting for 6 hours at a time when you're live,
Yeah.
right? And it can be very, very draining. And so I think when you're starting out, especially now when there are just so many examples of people who are successful, as hard as it is, you don't have to be that same person. Like you can just be yourself, and finding what that is, audiences will find that, and they'll enjoy that for that. If somebody wants to go see, you know, another type of streamer, they have that choice. But I can't imagine how difficult it is starting now, because there's so much pressure, and be like, you have to be, you know, this level in order to equate a success, and it's not that. You'll find the audience, you'll find people who love you for you, and it's important for longevity.
Yeah, and
Cool.
if you look up like Atomic Mario and Smosh games online, you'll see the history of like you've probably lost count of how many games series you've done, right? So it's
Yeah.
not like Mari's a Minecraft channel, you know. It's like there's so many things. They definitely go there for her. I don't know if you know, she did like a personal like meet and greet thing with like McDonald's a couple times and stuff. Like there's real fans behind this, you know, like. And it's not tied to a specific game, because I think that's a dangerous thing that I hear from everybody. Like, oh, you should play Fortnite because people like Fortnite. It's like, I hate Fortnite. Like, I tried, you know, and it's like, this is not going to come across live, like, well, you know.
Just build, man.
What's that?
Just build.
I don't even know what that means in the game.
All right, and on that note, that's as much as we've got time for today. But our panelists said themselves that this is all they do. This is their lives. They want this. So if you want to harass them after this, I'm sure they'll be fine with that. Thanks for attending, guys, and we'll see you later.
Thank
Thank you.